Welcome to Breaking Par with Bernard Sheridan, the golf podcast that interviews the best and brightest minds in the golf industry. Now, here's your host, Bernard Sheridan.
John, welcome to Breaking Par. Thanks so much for taking the time out to be with us here today.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
So first question we always like to ask our guests is, when is the first time you ever picked up a golf club?
Oh, wow. I want to say when I was in the Marine Corps. I was in the Marine Corps from 1986 to 92, and there was we did a outing with our squadron, and then so we went and played golf, had no clue how to play. And so that's the very first time, and then I don't think I picked up a club after that until I was a police officer.
Okay. And what is actually what are you doing right now as a profession?
Well, I retired a year and a half ago from law enforcement. I did approximately 17 years. I was a police officer full-time for 15 years, and then reserve. I was a reserve officer for 2 years, so I retired about a year and a half ago from that, and I'm loving life now. And so now what I'm doing full-time is T-Claw. So when I came up with this idea back in 2014, and now I'm doing it full-time.
So, and how is that going?
It's going great. It's actually... When we first launched, we launched January 2015 at the PGA show. So the hardest part of bringing any type of concept or product to the market is proof of concept. So everybody thought, oh, great idea. And then it's taken us, taking some time to get out there and show people and a proof of concept to show this isn't a gimmick and actually there's validity to it.
So how long was the process from when you came up with this idea to actually manufacturing and getting the final product?
It probably took probably a good year. When me and my buddy, we were playing at a par 3 course out here by my house in Newport Beach, and they have mats on all their tee boxes, and they had the rubber tubes that were cut, missing, and then afterwards we go to a little pub across the street, and we're like, oh, I got to come up with something. So then I came home, and probably about a month later, I'm like, oh, let me see if I can design something. And I took a bottle top off of a vitamin water bottle, and I started cutting it with scissors. And that's how I got the initial design, because I figured with mats, you got to have something that'll twist into a mat. And then I did a lot of research online looking for somebody that can do like drawings for me, prototypes, like 3D prototypes and stuff. And that was very time consuming there, trying to find that. And then so once I got the drawings, then I met somebody that could do 3D prototypes. And then it started getting the process where it's expensive, because you come up with a design, they make it, then you test it, you're like, oh, I got to do this. And the first prototype I made, I pretty much shattered it because it's 3D printing material, it wasn't plastic. So and then it took some time after that getting a mold built. Then next step was a mold, and that was a long process. That itself probably took over 8+ months to do. And then once you got all this tinkering done and everything, modifications here and there, then probably finally got everything done. It probably took about a year and a half or so, because right before the PGA show in January 2015 is when we really got the final product completed.
So when you came up with this idea, I mean, what made you decide to come up with something like that? Was it just because when you were at the range you couldn't, I mean, you're trying to create path or whatever it was that you were trying to create, and then you thought, like, I really don't like the stuff that I have available to me? Or
no, not at all. It was actually so we were actually playing this golf course is an 18-hole par 3 golf course, and they have mats on the tee boxes. So when you're trying to tee up, you couldn't tee up because there was no rubber tubes, and you're trying to find where to tee up or anything like that on the mats. And so that was the initial concept. The initial concept was, to come up with a design, the T-Claw design, something like this, to say, hey, what can we come up with to put an actual golf tee in, right? And my initial design didn't have the rubber notch on the bottom to put the lanyard on it. So once I got the first prototype, we started hitting, and it kept going down range. Some mats are good, some are bad. And then I had to figure out a way to keep it from going down range. And this is so my daughter's grandfather is retired from Ford Aerospace. He's actually a rocket scientist. He designed rockets. And we're in my garage on a mat, and we're taking strings and lanyards trying to figure stuff out. And he's like, oh, hey, I can use this for my swing path. And so that's where I go, and I start hitting up my friends who are golf instructors and stuff. I go, hey, what's this about? Because I'm not an instructor or anything like that. I love just playing golf. And so that's where it took off on that. So it was nothing on my end. It was a fluke by my daughter's grandfather. And then next thing you know, all these, oh, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. There's my crazy dog right now.
Right. So originally, you produced this product so that you could take a tee and put it in a mat and be able to hit a ball off of it.
That's correct.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
So and it's basically made for irons, and of course, I guess if you're playing par threes, you're not hitting any woods off of par threes. So, hence the reason why you made it the size that it is and the shape and things like that. Correct?
Yeah. So when the initial design was to so people can tee up, whether it's with a hybrid, a wood, or your driver. And a lot of people on par threes, they throw the ball on the ground and they don't even tee up on it and stuff like that. So, we don't recommend hitting off the top of it with an iron because people have different types of swings, and it's like hitting maybe glass with a hammer. You might shatter it. And so, and that's where it all came about, was just, seeing what we can do and hitting off of it. And then it just went from there. So,
and then that's when and then with the grandfather situation and swing path, that's when you started to investigate more and say, hey, if we used a couple of these things, we can do different things for swing path and use it for putting and use it for full swing and use it for all different types of things.
Yeah, and what was good is that the people that I knew that were golf instructors in the golf industry, they're like, oh, I can do this. I can set up for alignment. Oh, I can do swing path. Oh, look at this. I can set up for ball position. Oh, I can put it on the putting greens. I got a friend who's an aim point instructor. He's like, oh, I can do this, speed and distance control. So they started talking about all this stuff that I had no clue about, and they're like, oh, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. And it's just, now you have a product here. If you use it right, you can use it on mats, grass. I even put it on my carpet, and I'll practice putting on my carpet. So it can be used hundreds of different ways. It's very simple and easy.
And it's kind of funny how just one little idea that you came up with turned into all these other things that it could be used for.
Yeah, and I didn't think it was going to go like this. I just thought, oh, let me come up with something. It'd be cool to tinker and come up with an idea. And then, you come up with the idea that then people are like, in the golf world, hey, you can do this, you can do this, you can do this. And I'm like, oh, really? Well, let's do it. Let's try it. And then you start putting videos and photos on. I started with social media, and I'm like, oh, social media, let's see what people's opinions are. Then you start getting feedback from people saying, oh, that's a good idea. That's a good idea. So, or I can use this, or I can use that. So it's interesting to see, and there's different ways people are coming up with it all the time, different things that they can do with it.
Sure, and that's because it's a pretty innovative product. It's a product that is easy to carry with you. I mean, you can either put it in your pocket or just throw it in your golf bag.
Correct.
Now when you sell the product now, is it sold in a packet of T-claws? Is there several of them? Is there one? Is there two? Can you buy, how many can you buy? Do you have to buy them in a group of so many?
Yeah, our packaging now comes in, you get 3 T-claws in a pack and you get 4 lanyards in a pack. And that when we initially, came up with this, we didn't know all the different ways that it can be used. It was just because now when people buy it, we might make a sale to where they can have at least a minimum of 4 because, it's setting it up and do different things. So we're going to have new packaging coming out hopefully by the end of summer, which it'll be a 4-pack. So you're going to get 4 T-claws in it. And then we're going to add a few more lanyards so, they can do all these different things. And that's because people are always asking, hey, how come there's only 3 in the pack? We need, to do what you're showing, we want to have at least 4. So here I am, I'm going to change it. And it's not going to cost that much more for us to do that. And so you're still going to get an amazing product that does hundreds of different ways for under $20.
Right. Well, I agree that there should be 4, especially if you're doing it for like putting or something like that. You can build a little like railroad ties that
Correct.
You're putting in between. If there was 3, then you're kind of stuck with only being able to do like a cross, where you have 2 and then maybe 1 but even then, it's still kind of tough to do. So what was the object of, or what was the idea behind just having 3 in there?
And I think it was when we first launched in the PGA show, our package had 2. And then people were like, oh, I need at least 3. And then I think as it grew and how the way people can use it, we already started making the packaging with 3, and we're like, oh man, we should have made 4. So you got this inventory that we got to blow out, get rid of this inventory, and then go to our 4-packs, which again is, it's getting great feedback from people. And the golf world, everybody, I mean, if you look at our social media, I mean, our following has grown big, and now over 13,000 followers on our Instagram, and then people are just constantly posting videos and photos of them using it. And so I'm very customer oriented. So if somebody says, hey, what about this? So you start doing that. So what I did was I start running sales. So, hey, if you buy 2-packs, we'll give you, this price at 2-packs. So now you're going to have 6 T-claws. And so, it's listening to the customer and making them happy. I don't want people thinking this is a gimmick. And that's the worst thing to do, is say, hey, this is not a gimmick. This has actually got validity to it. It's actually, a lot of things can be done with it. So, so now coming up with the 4-pack, it's going to be so much easier. It's going to be a little carrying case as well. So you just take it, throw it in your bag, and you're set to go.
Well, I think the great thing about the product is that you can use it on mats and or grass. And I think the majority of people who are practicing golf are practicing on mats. They're not crazy about practicing on mats. They'd much rather practice on grass. But a lot of times they don't have that choice. They go to their local driving range and there's all mats and there's not any grass tees. So being able to use a product like that on a mat, it gives them the opportunity to do things that they normally couldn't do on a mat, which is pretty cool stuff.
That's a great point, because now you can take any type of training that you do on grass, and now you're bringing that same concept to mats now. So everything you can train on mats, you can bring it onto mats as well. So, in the grass, what's good in grass is you can actually see a divot pattern in grass. When you're on mats, you don't get to see that. But if you set up a good, one of our chipping drills where you set up a 2 T-claws and you got that path going through, you can get instant feedback on your swing and stuff. So you get visual. Golfers are visual. Everybody's visual when they learn. And it's as instructor, a lot of golf instructors, they can go out and, if they didn't have training aids, they can tell a student, hey, do this, do this. And a lot of students are like, what are you talking about? I thought I was doing this. But if they actually visualize and see what they're doing, then that's, that brings a lot of credence to those instructors. And, that's training. It helps these golfers.
Well, I think the training aids too. I mean, if you have something that can show you feedback as to what you're doing, then that automatically now it's easier for you to improve, because you have some type of a feedback. Like you were saying, hitting on a mat, and they can't see a divot. So I know that I have a product that I created for our company that's called Impact Powder, and specifically you draw 2 lines with the powder. You draw one line at where the center of the ball would be. You draw another line about 4 inches ahead of that, because that's where the bottom of the swing arc should be. So then when a player will work with that, they'll be able to see on a mat when the powder disappears where that divot would be.
It's a great idea. There's so many different ways to, teach the basics. And that's what's good about this industry, is that I've met a ton of amazing people in this industry. I was a police officer, like I said, for almost 17 years, and I can count how many. Nobody likes the cops. Everybody, it's a thankless job. Here, I've met some amazing people in this industry. I never thought it would be like this. It's been great.
Yeah, it is a pretty cool industry. There's a lot of really good people out there who have a lot of great ideas. There's a lot of people who are really willing to share those ideas to help each other. And I think it's because they all have a common goal. And the common goal is to grow the game. Because if you grow the game and you get more players in the game, then that means the game's going to continue. And that means that if that's your industry, that you're always going to have clients. And it's going to keep things fresh. And there's always people trying to figure out new ways to do things better.
Simplicity is best. I mean, when things get complicated, you confuse people. People get confused and stuff like that. And so if simplicity, I love that word, simplicity. Be simple, keep it simple, and when it is simple, people learn better. It's easier to learn.
No, I totally agree. I mean, I think that that when it's simple, it's easier for people to understand. Golf can be extremely complicated, and it's real easy to make it very complicated.
Yes.
But if we can make it a lot simpler and break it down into little simple things, and drills and things like that that help people more visually be able to see it, feel it, and that helps them understand it better, and then maybe relate it to other sports, and then that makes it a lot easier for them to do, because there are things in other sports, like for most of us who grew up in America, we didn't grow up playing golf, most of us. Most of us grew up playing other sports, basketball, football, soccer, hockey, baseball, tennis, and not really a lot in golf. So if we can relate those sports to golf, those are natural things that everybody grew up doing. It's easier for them to understand it.
Yeah, you're right. You can see the generation of, it's like everything in life, everything's generational. You know, golf is generational. You have the Nicklaus generation, Tiger Woods generation, now the new generation of all the younger, more fit, stronger athletes out there. And now all the kids are watching these and they want to be Ricky Fowler, Jordan Spieth, Jason Day. They want to be these golfers. These are young kids out there now. It's growing. Some people say, well, golf's not growing. I disagree, because you can go to a golf course and you can see more and more kids out there playing every day, or even at the range, parents taking their kids out there, because it's like, hey, this is a great little sport to get outside and do something.
I think I've always felt that the greatest thing about the sport of golf is that it didn't need a team. That as an individual, because I personally was an only child. So because I was an only child, essentially, I had to gather kids up in the neighborhood if I wanted to play a ball game, or at least another kid if I wanted to shoot hoops or things like that, and have a little bit of a competition or whatever. But I could go out on the golf course, which I really didn't do as a kid, but when I got older, I did, and I didn't have to have somebody with me to be able to go play. I could meet somebody there that I didn't even know and play with them. I could play by myself and just try to better my score from the last time I was out. So that's what I really like about the game, is that that's one of the many things I like about the game, is that it's an individualized sport, and that you don't have to have a bunch of other people to be able to go play around or just practice or just have fun.
Yeah, it's you go out to the course and you can just, there's a group of 3 people, you join them. Next thing you know, you're playing golf with people, you're communicating, you're having fun. You might never know, you might make a new friend, and that's the person that says, hey, I'll call you next time I play golf and stuff like that. So it's, yeah, I love it. I love going out and playing it, and I love having a good time. Me and my buddies go out all the time. So it's fun for me now that I'm retired somewhat, and it's been great.
So the product that you're making right now, is that product produced here in the United States, or is it produced outside the U.S.?
No, made in the USA. I'm very proud of that. And could I take it and send it to China and get it made for a lot cheaper and stuff like that? Yeah, but getting it made here in the USA, you look at the cost, shipping costs and everything back there. I'm pretty much at the same cost it would be to go and do that. Why would I want to do that? I'm born and bred, like I said, I'm a former Marine. I'm a former retired police officer. So being in the U.S., making in the USA is very important to me. So so I want to keep it here, and that's important, is to keep it here in the U.S.
No, I totally agree. I think especially in this day and age that if we can keep whatever we're doing, and produce work for other people in this country and not outside of the country, it's better for the country. I mean, there's no doubt about it.
Yeah, and then you go and there's a lot. I know other people who make training products, and they have them made in China, and they have such a hard time, with getting it manufactured or getting it shipped here in time, or something. There's always delays and stuff like that. Where I drive 20 minutes down the freeway, and my manufacturer's out here in California with me. He's an amazing guy, amazing company, and it's been a great. I got lucky when I found them as a manufacturer for this.
So how many years has the product been out now?
We launched January 2015. So
So this
2.5
year,
years. Yeah,
2.5 years. Okay, so 2.5 years. So not real long. So when it's gaining some traction, of course. So well, it gets its own traction by sticking by sticking into the mat.
yeah.
But I'm sure it looks like it's gaining some traction. That's part of the reason why we had you on the show. We think that it's it's a decent product and it's interesting. And I always like to bring. The show is not really built to promote products. It's built to promote golf in general. But if there's a product that I think a lot of our listeners would benefit from, then that's why I usually try to get in touch with those people and say, hey, would you like to be on the show and talk about your product? Because I think it's a good product and I think it'll do some good things for our listeners.
Well, I really appreciate it. I'm honored to be on the show, and I'm grateful that you reached out to me and talked to me and stuff. And again, if it was a gimmick, I would not even, I'd probably say, no, it's just a gimmick. But it's not. It turned into something more, which I'm actually proud of. I'm excited about it, and I can see the future where it's going. What's good too is the USGA and RNA. They conformed it to the rules of golf. So, what's good with the long drivers? A lot of long drivers use this now. A lot of the top long drivers in the world, because if they go to their competitions, they're teeing off on mats. Not in some competitions they're in grass, but now they're on mats. So now they have a product that they can actually tee up on the mats, because a lot of times they can only stick the tee in so far into those mats that they give them the hit off of.
Right.
And so I've got some great feedback from them, and so we put it in the hands of the Long Drive, which is Golf Channel, because Golf Channel owns a Long Drive now, and so they're going to hopefully put it on their approved list. So when these long drivers are on the mats, they got something to tee up with the way they want to tee up. So it's a simple. There's no advantage to, no other advantage but to tee up with it. That's it, and it gives them that opportunity, because they like to tee it up really high. Those long drivers do.
Yeah. That's so they can get that upward angle and launch it higher, and then of course the ball's going to carry further.
Yes,
so all those long drivers swing up. As on the tour average is 1.5 degrees down, and a good example is Justin Thomas, who broke the record or tied the record this week at the U.S. Open. Even though this show is going to air probably 5 weeks from now that we're taping it. And his average is 4.5 degrees up on his driver, which is very unusual for a tour player. But and I think that long drive guys are even a little bit more than that. They're really hitting up on the ball and to get that launch happening.
Yeah, they want to get it out there. I was in Mesquite a few weeks ago watching the Clash in the Canyons out there, watching all the long drivers, and very impressive watching balls go 400 plus yards, and these guys swing, and I'd probably be hurting after swinging that hard. So very impressive.
Well, speaking of that, I mean, since you've produced this product and since you've had it, I guess that it's taken you to a lot of places that you probably never would have been.
Oh, you're well. What was good was I was in the Marine Corps. I got to travel. I was in Japan, the Philippines. So now with this product, I've been all throughout the U.S. and I went to Korea again this year. So we've got distribution now, it's been great, because now the T-Claw is being used all over the world, and people are posting videos and photos, and I repost it on our social media, and I get I'm South Africa, Korea, Japan, the UK, Europe, Iceland, Kenya. It's amazing where the T-Claw is being used and it's going out there, because people see it. They're like, oh, this is cool. And it makes me feel, I'm like, wow, it's over here. The other day I got a kid who sent me a video and he was in Kenya. And I'm like, you're in Kenya? I'm like, wow. And so it's very exciting to see, where it's going and how it's going, because golf it's worldwide. People are, like you said, it's growing, and it's not just growing here in the U.S. It's growing everywhere. Whether it's golf, long drive is growing too, is becoming more and more popular throughout the world as well. Because there's a lot of countries now that are getting into the professional long drives and stuff. So it's great that they're sending me messages and saying, oh my God, we'd love to have the T-Claw here. I'm like, okay. And to me, that's an honor for me, and I'm very humbled by all that. So. Being able to travel, it's been great. Going to Korea, I went to Korea this past year because I have a Korean distributor. Went out to the Korean golf show there, so it's great. Traveling has been awesome.
You know, it makes you wonder if long drive will ever be part of the Olympics. I mean, now that golf is part of the Olympics, you know, I mean, that is really when you think about it, because they have shot put, they have discus, they have javelin throwers, and it's all about how far can they throw it. And with long drive, it's that same deal. It's like how far can they hit it and keep it on a grid. And it's definitely an amazing thing to watch these guys and gals who do it too. I mean, it's really pretty awesome. So who knows? Maybe someday T-Claw will be in the Olympics. Wouldn't that be neat?
That'd be amazing. That'd be pretty cool. I mean, now they're coming out with 3-on-3 basketball in the Olympics. It's like, really? And you're right. It's possible because every year they do have a big, huge international long drive competition. I think last year was in Mexico somewhere, and I'm not sure where it is this year, but it's growing, and who knows where it can go or what happens or anything like that. You never know. You never know.
Yeah, it's very exciting. It's very exciting. So, look, it was great having you on the show, John, and I wish you all the best of luck with your product. And but before I let you go, are there any products that you are thinking about creating past this? Or do you think that this is, you know, I mean, have you come up with any other ideas? I mean,
actually, there's a couple other things that are in the works, and you know, hopefully within the next year, it's something that we'll be able to come out with and talk about. And there are a couple things that are going to complement, you know, that hopefully will complement the T-Claw or work in conjunction with it in a way. It's not a T-Claw product, but it's something that, you know, it's been good. So when you have something like this and you think of something like, oh, I can do this or I can do this, and there's something, and what's pretty cool is I met you know, I saw a product online that's a professional golfer just came out with. I'm like, oh my God, the T-Claw would great with that. So I send her an email and I go, hey, you know, I love your product. I think that's pretty cool because it can be used in the house or this and that. I go to T-Claw. So we exchanged products, and so she gets to test it with hers and I'm testing it with mine. It's like, oh my God, they work great together. So that type of networking is big. You don't see that, but it can be a product, your product, somebody else's product, and they can see how everything works together, and it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it's neat, and then you can actually kind of cross-promote each other and help each other grow your businesses. So it's some really cool stuff. Yeah. So for anyone who wants to purchase T-Claw, what is the best way for them to go about that?
They can go to our website, www.tclaw.com, and you know, they go on there. We're actually updating our website as well, so we're going to hopefully have that launched within the next 30 days or so. You know, we're going to modify. Because like I said, over the past 2 years, the website, the way it's set up now, it was basic to say, hey, this is what it can do. Now we've learned so much more. We want to put that out there so people can actually see and make it more simple to view. But you go to our website, we're sold in, what's great is now, you know, a lot of stores, Roger Dunn, Worldwide Golfs have picked it up. And so they have it in throughout the country now. So it's getting out there, which is really nice.
Great. Well, I'm glad to hear it. You know, it looks like a great product. And as I said, I wish you the best of luck. And if we ever, you know, until we meet again, what we always like to say in parting here is try to keep it in the short grass.
No, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I do. I will try that.
All right, John. All right, take care.
You too, Bernard.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to Breaking Par with your host, Bernard Sheridan. Follow us on Twitter @BreakingPar and on Facebook @Par Breakers Golf Academy. Until next week, try to keep it on the short grass.